Hey guys, welcome once again to the Professional Goblins podcast. I am one of your wonderful hosts, one of three. I am Scott, and with me as always is...
Mike Myler. Hello everybody.
And
hey, I'm Savannah Broadway. This is my co-pilot Pelly.
And today we have a guest. Oh my god, never happens, except every week. With us today is Crystal. Introduce yourself. Who are you? Why do we care?
Hi guys. So my name is Crystal Sully. I'm a illustrator, creature designer, a monster maker for the tabletop role-playing game industries, video game industry, publishing, film, all that fun stuff. And yeah, I'm here to have some fun.
Awesome. So are we. As you guys know, we have a segmented show. Kind of follows a general script. We start off. By the way, this is the Arizona sun. This is through like an entire shade. Will also be our host today because it's 100 and whatever out still in September. But yeah, as always, we sometimes start with a review if someone sent it to us before. I don't think we had one, right, Mike?
Liz did not send us anything, unfortunately.
All right, so we don't. So that means we're gonna jump into our next one. We're gonna kind of go through, and we are live on Twitch right now. And if you guys have anything, it'll pop up like right here in the chat window. And maybe we can even see it. That would be fantastic.
Talk to us if you're watching.
Let us know what you guys are thinking, because we don't care. No, I'm kidding. So, our first segment...
Way to play hard to get, Scott.
I know, right? I'm a tease. Our first segment, if you guys haven't seen us before, is we talk about either a character we're currently playing or a character we played in the past, or like a favorite character that we learned a lesson from. So, guys, Mike, I think that Savannah is waiting very patiently for your story.
Yeah, I have to hear about this rogue door.
Right, okay. So, they were playing in... You can actually download the adventure that Rogue Door appears in, or where I played him. It's called the Matoriksu. If you look it up on DriveThruRPG, you'll find it. Matoriksu. And it's basically this, like, enormous anglerfish that eats up ships and then drops things from its stomach that matrix and suck the life out of everybody on the ships.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, yeah, you get in there and then you wake up and then you're just like on this endless sea voyage, and you know, you eat, but you're just not getting full, and eventually you starve and die.
As one does.
And yeah, and so they were like, well, you know, so the GM was like, so what you can do, you have time to play in this 1 week game, like, what are you gonna play? And I was like, oh, well, what if I play like you know, somebody who's been hiding in the bottom of the ship? He's like, nah, I don't know about that. They would have known by now. They're all high level. I'm like, okay, all right. What if I was like really good at hiding, like a super good at hiding, like a super rogue? And he's like, what on earth would be able to hide like that? And I was like, well, what if I was a door? And he's like, you couldn't play a door. And I was like, bullshit, I could totally play a door. So I made Rogue Door, and he's this like mimic with like a door, like a hand handle, and yeah, he's a rogue. He doesn't move very fast, but he's super good at hiding. And as long as there's a place with doors, he can make himself look enough like the doors of the place that you wouldn't notice. And he's got a level of sorcerer, so I could have a familiar,
of course, to
act through. So there's Professor Ratwicket that always hangs out with him, and I permanently glued like a little cane to Ratwicket's paw and like a little hat on him. Yeah. So yeah, Rogue Door. And then I ended up playing him again later at a higher level. So there's a level 4 Rogue Door and like a level 12 Rogue Door.
I actually looked them up
really,
they're good.
Yeah. I will include them. I'll put the other one in the Twitch window, but I'll put them in the the YouTube channel description. And it just goes to prove that if one tries it hard enough, that anything can rogue.
There we go. Crystal, you were going to tell us about your terribly put upon animal companion.
Oh, geez, yeah. So I'm sure we'll be joking about this for the rest of the evening, but I don't actually play a lot of tabletop games, even though I work on a bunch of them.
Oh, we're gonna have fun with you.
Oh, it's gonna be great. But there was a game I did a lot of work for called Open Legend RPG, and the creator invited me on to get introduced to it and everything. And I created this character named Gunnar, who was like this badass werewolf chick, and she had this companion who was a very highly intelligent saber-toothed cat that wore spectacles and a cute little backpack that he kind of wore everywhere. And that poor saber-toothed cat, every single session, almost died. But to the DM's horror, I kept rolling really high dice rolls every time he'd attempt to kill him. So he's just Edgar the Invulnerable. So lesson learned, if you have an animal companion, people will gun for him or her constantly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're the weak spot, you know.
So I have one, but before that, did I mention the dog that kept the wolf companion they dragged along in that one game I ran, or no?
I don't remember that one.
Maybe an early one.
Is that the same game where the dude refused to wear stuff under his armor?
No, that's the other story I want to tell.
So much chafing.
Yeah. So actually, I'll tell you another story from that one because it's the same character and the same player. A little later on, actually, they end up in a dwarven town. I forget what the whole thing was, and he was an elf, and this was in a homebrewed system. It was called New Wind, and it was a 2d6 based. So a +1 is like really big, and a -1 is pretty big too. So I think we were doing the thing we just came up with rules on the fly for a drinking game in the game. All right, every your guys take a drink. You roll 2d6. You have to get above a certain amount. And elf, because you have like shitty stuff, you're bad at this. You get a -4, whatever, dude. You're screwed. And the dwarves get a +4, and the humans get like a nothing, and this guy gets a +2 and whatever. So Abdel, the guy playing the Elven Paladin, just goes ahead and is like, all right, I roll, and he's like, we literally had like 10 people at this table, and everyone's rolling, and you had like 3 failures, and you run to the table, and like everyone's pounding back things, all these dwarves, and they're having a great time, and we go like 4 or 5 rounds in, and we realize Abdel's still there. We're like, Abdel, how are you still in? He's like, oh, I've just rolled 2 6s like 4 times in a row, and we're like, and he just like, this thing's like, woof, right over his head. Abdel, that's like really rare, right? And he's like, oh yeah, I guess. And we just keep going, and this fucking like anemic elf just starts drinking all these like old like salt of the earth dwarves under the table. Everyone is pass out drunk under the table, and the elf's just like, this is great. And just like, fucking random number gods, please have mercy. The thing your companion thing reminded me of was this party grabbed a wolf in a game I GM'd, and it wasn't an animal companion. They just dragged it along with them, and it kept dying, and they kept stapling its face back together and healing it, and the wolf begged for death and kept trying to kill the other party members, but they would not let him. They just kept
that's not dark at all.
bandaging him. When he disobeyed, they lit him on fire. They started very quickly having their alignment change.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is about like, oh, the wolf always died too. They actually, one of them finally pushed him off a boat because he was really sad for the wolf. He's like, don't worry, my friend, you will be granted a quick death. And he pushes him off the boat, and he dies.
Quick death? So he pushed him off a boat?
Yeah, he was unconscious.
Oh.
So, Savannah, can you... Other than animal abuse, do you have anything to share?
I do. It does not involve animal abuse.
I'm not sure if I should be happy or sad about that.
Fair. We could have had a theme here. But yeah, so this character, it was kind of the example of the character was not really extraordinary at all, but the decisions that the character made were much more compelling than the character themselves. I was not told what the setting was going to be, so I made a bardbarian, as you do, and I made a half-elf, because that's the optimal race for a bardbarian.
As you do.
And for, like, funsies, I decided that I'd make them, like, half-drow, like, there's Pathfinder stuff for doing that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, I'll make them half-drow, and, you know, to work in the whole bardbarian thing, this was before the Scald, then I'll, you know, say that, like, they were, you know, sort of Viking-esque and were, like, the war chanter and blah, blah, blah. So I took Sea Reaver, and I was really good in, like, shallow water. So all of this combined, game took place in a desert. So this poor character just kind of had nothing to do, and all of their specializations just didn't matter very much. So I tried to make up for it by like leaning in as hard as possible into certain decisions. And the whole thing was our characters were running an errand for a fallen goddess of chaos, good, and euphoria. Her name was Joy. And so she had asked us to, go get a relic from this abandoned tomb of one of her relative gods to like get something to restore her power.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, so we have like it's kind of Zelda based. It was a homebrew, so like
Sure.
we have this magic green tunic. Go to the place, find out that we level 3 characters have run into a level 10 necromancer hideout.
Sounds good.
Yep, and so just as we're coming to this realization, deciding that we have to get out of here, the necromancer shows up and is like, "What are you doing here?" And we're like, "Oh, we're grave robbers. We're definitely grave robbers, and we thought this place was abandoned, but clearly it's not, so we're gonna leave now." And she's like, "Well, I was going to, revive my evil dead god, and I see that you're wearing, the tunic of the chosen of joy." And we're like, "Oh, we don't have anything to do with joy at all. Actually, we, like I said, we're grave robbers. We stole this. We're very evil. We're definitely very evil. Please don't kill us." And she's like, "Well, if you give me the tunic, I will give you one that, will give you the same bonuses. It'll just have my deity's power on it. So just give me that." And we're like, "Yeah, sure, here, magic chosen one tunic, here you go, have fun." And so
Nothing bad can happen
we
with that.
helped with the resurrection of an evil god. And then, with the kicker, that since the necromancer had accomplished her goals, she didn't need to fight or attack the nearby town. So we went back to town and we're like, "We defeated the necromancer, guys! Please give us our reward now!"
That's awesome.
Well, you technically accomplished the goal. The town's no longer in
Technically,
danger.
like, the spirit of it was keep the necromancer from attacking the town, so...
I mean, you did.
Exactly, it was completely legit. No animal abuse, though.
Again, I'm pretty sure it's a good thing. But,
Yeah.
So, Mike, you want to talk about the next segment?
Yeah. This is favorite working projects. So stuff that we are working on right now that we like.
And that we can talk about.
Yes.
Yes.
Stuff that is not protected under NDA. We're not going to force anyone to indemnify themselves. There's stuff I'd like to talk about. I'd love to talk about
Yeah,
period because I got to look at the Bible, but I'm not allowed to because I'll get fired. I need to cash my first check. So, I can talk about the Warhammer 40k hack, which I'm excited about because I get to play it again soon. Because Steph is going out of town, and she is against me having friends over for like 8 to 10 hours to play tabletop games.
Are you doing it online or in person?
In person. In person. I'm allowed to play online all I want.
Let's say, because if it was online, man, I would jump all over that.
Dude, it's gonna be awesome. The end of the last session. They found a Gene Stealer cult that was masquerading as a Tau cult, and then they went into the Gene Stealer hatchery in this like underwater ruins. And then I was mad because like they just like killed all their stealth checks, so like it was gonna be this like horde fight, and instead they just like plucked the thing out and then left. I was like, son of a bitch. Well, I mean, when they plucked it out, that caused the whole thing to like fill with water, so like there wasn't going to be a fight, right?
Yeah.
They were just trying to live. And then they pulled away from the planet and called down an exterminatus.
As one
And
does.
like, yeah, and like the one guy was not totally familiar with 40k. He won't be here for the next one, which is too bad. But like the look on his face when I was like, and as you pull away, the exterminatus fire blooms across the planet. And you think about how the nearby shrine world and hive world will suffer in poverty and famine for the next several centuries. And he's just, and I was like, yeah, perfect.
I will get you eventually, players.
Yes. And yeah, it's awesome. The fourth one goes up on Friday, and at this point we're at the classes. What's next? Imperial Commissars, which are a type of fighter that gets some bardy stuff. And then Assault Space Marines, which are barbarians. So we'll play like a World Eater. that'd be perfect for an assault season.
So, Crystal, what do you got up your sleeve right now that you can talk about?
Oh, geez, that I can talk about.
That's
Most
what we
of my
had
stuff is usually under
that
NDA.
qualifier.
Yeah.
A caveat,
Yes.
as it were.
But I actually have been working on my own project that just wrapped up its first Kickstarter campaign called the Untamed Beastiary, a field guide to marvelous monsters. And really excited that Kickstarter kind of just completely blew my expectations I had for it.
Watching that Kickstarter was such a ride.
That's it.
Oh my
We
gosh.
actually pimped it out on the show a few times for you.
Yeah.
No way!
We did,
Oh,
yeah.
shucks, you guys.
Shucks,
Well,
we did
thank
it.
you.
I'm interested to know about so the 3D color printing, like that's pretty exclusive. Are you going through like a normally art book publisher or what? Like
So
the
the book
printer.
will be self-published. Oh, yeah, the printer. Oh man, we actually researched our printer about a year ago. We started, putting feelers out there and started talking to them and being like, how comfortable are you guys with like totally weird shit that not a lot of art books do? And they were on board. They're like, yes, choose us. We'd love to do weird shit. So they are very excited. Now,
We'd love
that's
all the
actually
money.
why our interview started just a little bit late because I was actually on the phone doing a conference call with them,
Sweet.
getting our final numbers for the UV ink printing, and I'm so excited.
That looks so cool.
Thanks. I can't wait. I'm going to be painting a lot of skeletons for the next few months, like all the
I was
time,
actually
all day.
thinking that.
Skeletons.
When we saw it, I'm like, man, they're just gonna be drawing skeletons like all day, every day.
Yeah, it's going to be nuts
Oh,
because
at
we have
least all the-
50 creatures.
Yeah, the stances
them
and
are-
stuff are at least worked out. Like,
I
Oh, yeah,
appreciate
no,
the idea for creatures without internal skeletons. Like the ooze or whatever that ate somebody.
Yeah, I thought for sure it might be a little on the weird side for people, but people seem to be pretty excited about it because not all of them are vertebrates, right? So we're thinking like, well, what the hell do we do for the ones that don't really have a skeleton? But like, for example, I painted my own version of like Victory Bell, the Pokemon, but she's
Yeah.
different enough to not.
Yeah.
And what we're gonna do is actually show a person inside in green, like pushing against her skin, trying to get out because she's a giant carnivorous plant. So when you turn off the lights, you can see all her victims and well,
Horrifying
still
thing.
skeletons, just not hers.
I love it.
People laugh.
Always.
Yes, really excited about that.
can you tell me who's printing, or is that confidential?
Oh, no, of course. I'm always happy to share my printer with people because they've been really great for us. Phone calls all the time, which is how I like doing business.
Yeah, there
They're
you
called
go.
Global PSD. And if you do, your own book or whatever, and you're looking into it, tell them I sent you. I think each of us gets like a credit or something cool. So
cool.
Ooh,
Yeah.
referral bonus.
totally, yeah, heck
Very
yeah. But no, they're great.
If I do like Regency keeps bothering me about doing offsets, and I never have enough money. But I think I might go with Taylor because they do normally the Green Ronin books, and they've done a couple of other ones with like the old styley imprinted gold inlaid titling and stuff.
Yep.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they sent me a
That's
bunch
what
of
I'm doing
free
for mine,
books,
too.
and I was just like, well, if you're gonna send me $300 of free books, I want
That
you
must
to
be like
continue to
a
send me
printer
money.
thing. That's what mine did too. They sent me a sample kit of you're probably familiar with J. Scott Campbell, really famous comic book artist. They do all his books, so they just sent me this huge collection of J. Scott Campbell's books. And since my my Beastiary, we hit all the stretch goals for it's like a faux leather cover with gold foil stamping.
Oh
They
my
had
God.
like samples of all that. So I could touch it. But I'm so excited, you guys. They're sending me a giant sample pack of all their faux leathers. They're like, we just want you to touch all of them. And I'm just so excited.
It's kind of like the best part of going to like a craft store is touching all the fabrics.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right? That's totally me. So I'm super excited about that. But yeah, if you ever need another printer you want to try out, I can totally hook you up with these guys. They're awesome.
Global PSD. All right.
Yeah.
Also, my personal favorite, just from what I've seen in the book, is the horned Drake Melian there over your right shoulder. Oh,
He's so cute. Thank you. That was
He's
kind of
adorable.
my little proof to the world. Like, you know what, guys? I can do something cute and screw all of you guys. Because, forever people are like, can you do anything that doesn't just eat faces of humans? Because that would be cool. And they didn't think I could do it. So I'm like, yeah, go ahead and underestimate me again. Yeah, I'll make something so cute. You won't even believe it.
I feel like he could eat a face if he put his mind to it and believed in himself. But
Oh,
he's definitely
maybe.
cute.
I could see that. I could see that. It's like a predator function. It lures you in because you think it's adorable, and then bam,
Right.
and you least expect
Right
it.
to the face.
Yes,
Like an anglerfish,
with his little
but
like
with cuteness.
button-sized head.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh, or maybe there are flocks of them. It reminds me of the very tiny little raptors and at the beginning of one of the Jurassic Parks.
Oh, the little
where they-
compies. Oh my god. Yes.
Yep.
Love that. As a little kid, I didn't even care about the little girl. I was just like, those guys are cool, Mom.
Can I have one? Did you see the rest of the movie?
Yeah.
They were,
Yeah. It's not a good idea, Crystal.
It's been a while, but I remember they were trying to take chickens and reverse engineer them into little tiny dinosaurs, like little tiny T-Rexes.
I saw
I mean,
that. They're
already
messing
have
with the beaks, I think.
cassowaries. Why are people trying
Yeah.
to do this?
It's like, how many
True.
bad movies and video games do we need to have before you guys catch on, right?
What's the Jeff Goldblum quote again? That was like, man was too busy with whether they could to focus on whether or not they should.
Yeah.
Just print that out, send it to scientists everywhere,
I'm just
cover our
saying,
bases.
no dinosaurs, please.
So, speaking of
Yes.
not dinosaurs, if we're not talking about dinosaurs, we're talking about what Savannah's working on. Savannah, what are you working on that you can talk about?
So I'm still chugging through on the Book of Exalted Evil. Mike is a nice
Book of
person and is putting
Exalted
up with me and my terrible kidneys.
Darkness. Book of Exalted Darkness.
Darkness.
All about
Right. So yes, I've been chugging through on that. And some of my favorite is trying to come up with proper synonyms for things, because one of the things I'm doing is the Rebel Bard College, and so they're called the College of Anarchy currently.
Yeah.
And I was looking through the other bard colleges, and it's like, oh yeah, the College of the Blade, they're known as, blades or, whatever. And I'm like, okay, so just calling them anarchists
Yeah.
seems...
Oh, apostates.
Oh, apostates is a good one. I was gonna say, I want to come up with a third one, because they usually have, like, them in groups of 3. But I was like, okay, so malcontents, and, like, Silver Tongue doesn't quite fit, because
No.
the whole point is they can do mind control, but it's, like, evil mind control, and, so I'm definitely, apostate is good. So, yes, I like playing with the thesaurus, that's my
She likes playing with prostates. Got it.
Fork tongue
Oh,
doesn't
good.
doesn't quite make the jump either. That's still kind of.
No.
I'll think on it. I don't know. I finally got to write the. I guess I shouldn't reveal what the backstory is for the whole world here. That would be a bad idea.
Okay, but
I finally
it's
figured
there.
that out though. That was killing me, dude. For 2 months, I was like, "How are we gonna?" Because like I knew the parts of it, and I just couldn't get them all fitting together. But I think I get. I think I'm really happy with that game was.
So,
And you guys weren't like, "This is terrible." So.
And Scott, what are you working on?
So we have a project that we started working on after we did the Alien Party Bus book. People were like, "Oh, you should convert over Little Red stuff." I'm like, "Okay, sure." I mean, like some of the best of things or whatever. So I started working on a bunch of conversions from Pathfinder to Starfinder for a bunch of our races. And when you start writing them, it's not, it's just conversion work. Oh, this doesn't exist anymore. This is how you do it. It's not a problem. In a lot of races, like, you don't even have to convert the lore very much. It's just like, oh, they're not sea sailors, they're space sailors, like that. But as we started going along, with about 40 races we're converting over, it's going to be a big book, we started realizing that because of the change of setting, we could do new things with them. So we kept, for some of them, the changes are really extensive. So we kind of had to build up, like, background elements to them that we didn't think would, kind of emergent design. It was really interesting. Sometimes it was mechanical, but oftentimes it was just like, well, this is a species that's all about agriculture and making things, and it's not really a big, like, that's an agricultural world. I get that. That's cool. But then you have the other side of it with this huge race called the Capri, and then in Pathfinder, that's like oh my god, your player race is a huge size. It's so amazing. The stats adjustments are crazy. It has to be a monstrous race. In Starfinder, it doesn't freaking matter. It's actually an inconvenience.
Yeah, size, right?
Yeah, well, they have size. It's just, it only adjusts your reach. So you have really good reach, but it's like having a spear, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're in a spaceship.
You only get one attack round anyway, so what's the difference?
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? Or use a ranged weapon,
Mm-hmm.
So we actually had to, like, do a bunch of adjustments to that stuff mechanically. But as we built all the lore and everything, we started building up this place that's now called Red Sector. I wonder why. But it's called Red Sector, and like the lore of everything kind of fed into it. So there's this crazy stuff like, why would you live underground like a drow or whatever? We had a book about subterranean races, so we put a bunch of them in. So why would races live underground in a sci-fi setting? So we decided to make, there's this planet called Obsidian in there that's a super massive like Earth, like a super Earth. And its orbit got shifted during this war between these two gods. And it went from being perfectly habitable to just a little bit shifted, so now it is a burning fireball. So everyone is underground. And so you have like, they're called Kabuter, which are like these mushroom people, Sun Kids, which are literally like, they're in Races of Darkness. They're basically like super excitable, like constantly glowing rave kids. I don't know how to describe them. We have actual trolls who have a troll mentality.
Do they have 24-hour oons?
Yes, they do. It's great. I wrote them in there. And the art for one of them has like a fucking little like magical wand with a star, and it's like fucking raving. I don't know. It's awesome. I was really proud of that one, and
they have like a fascinate ability, right? With the
I don't remember, but I think that they should. If they don't, I will be adding that for the Starfinder conversion. So someone can run it over
don't
easily.
Forget goggles and parachute pants that are neon colored.
Do you want me to get my trip pants? They're in that closet. They are red and black.
I don't think anyone.
Awesome.
I don't think anyone needs that.
I don't think I fit them anymore, dude.
I'm glad
okay.
you understand
I'm right there with
where
you.
you're going.
My wife
I still have my trip pants. You're not alone.
my wife keeps asking me, "You gonna use those ever again?" I'm like, "No, but they're a goddamn trophy. I'm leaving them in there." One day I want my child to find them and just be like, "Dad, what the fuck is this?"
And have so many
Did
questions.
they have like the straps? Mine have the straps that
So-
crisscross in the back too, and
I took those off because I couldn't move really in them at all. So what I did was, they zipped off into like shorts, but the zipper got busted, so it is totally attached by like.
breakaway pants.
I
Yeah.
miss breakaway pants.
So
those were
they
brilliant,
were,
and I'm sad
yeah.
that they're not around.
Turned into they have like safety pins holding that leg on. I don't know. It was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that just adds to the aesthetic.
Exactly, totally. And they were fire engine red, dude. Like that. Like they're that awesome.
That's cool. I too had fire engine red trip pants, so this is cool.
All right, siblings
Solidarity.
for life. I get this.
My hair was fire engine red too, so that was cool. That was very cool.
Mine was auburn for a while, and then I did it black. It was cool.
Nice.
So I did not look at it as a redhead. So, Mike, what's our next segment here before we talk about too much about my trip pant finish?
We talk about our favorite new projects that are not ours that we cannot profit from.
Okay.
It looks like once again I'm the only person with stuff in this category.
Yeah, I don't got something. I don't want to pimp it yet.
You guys, like, there are a lot. Like, we're a growing industry.
I know.
Just look around. You'll find stuff.
See, most of what
Maybe-
I've been looking at is bowls of soup, Mike.
Okay, all right.
Bowls
This is
of
All right,
soup.
Mike, I
Maybe
got a
take
question.
an hour and look through a lot of stuff and bookmark them, and then you'll have a cachet to go to. And
That's
have
fair.
Wait, I
Yeah,
do have something.
This is like
I
what I
was looking
told
at something.
Savannah too. She asked me, she's like, do you have any new projects that you like? And I was like, well, in my head, I'm thinking there's Horizon Zero Dawn. Wait, that's a video game that's been out for 2 years. I feel like that scene in Jumanji where it just kind of popped up, and I'm like, what year is it? 'Cause I'm not up to date with anything at all. We've been on the road way too much.
Let me see. What am I sharing? This is from August 20th. Okay, so I have something actually fairly recent.
Mike,
okay.
I do have
that's
something
not
today. I just remembered.
Enlighten us.
Good. You should. You should have shit. You should be looking up shit right now if you don't. Like, I will try to talk, so you have 5 minutes to look. Also, Max says that he is glad you're not putting on a kilt.
Me?
I'm going to talk
I have
about
one of those.
Wasteland.
Were you not here when he
Wanderers.
wore a kilt, Max?
Yeah.
He looks good in a kilt.
I look awesome in a kilt.
Yeah.
Right. So, Wasteland Wanderers is what I was going to talk about. It's 5th edition classes for post-apocalyptic world. So if you know my stuff, you will find something you like there. It's $4. It's cheap, and more importantly, this guy has made up a whole 5th edition Fallout hack that is free on his website, Spilled Ale Studios. So if you want to play Fallout 5th edition, and you're watching this, and you know who I am, and I already have free shit on my website. You can go get for that. And also, this other thing that I'll put in the video description has a bunch of free, awesome resources for doing that. Although you have to decide which kind of radiation system you want to use, because he has one and then I have one. So, but I know
Excuse me.
I ran into it this week and I was like, oh sweet, somebody else is on my groove.
But it's cool to see how they design it versus how you design it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, so we went with the scientist. All right, well I have the scrapper because like salvage is really important and stuff. So, and then yeah, there are a couple other differences here or there, but all in all, it looked good to me.
So this is one of those like ego moments, but we did Necropunk way back when, which is a sci-fi setting. So it's really interesting to go, how did they do that? How did we do that versus how they did Starfinder do it? And I'm like, I think we did that better. You know what I mean? But there's some things I'm like, yeah, that's smart. And there's a lot of things we did the same way, which is kind of cool. Like travel times for like areas, it was basically, instead of being like, it takes 12 days, 16 seconds, and 85 minutes. And by the way, you better account for time dilation. It's just like, if you're traveling in the same system, it's like this many days, you know? And we also did something similar with the go to a different universe to travel thing. But so
What is it, a dead universe that you travel to?
Actually, yeah, kinda.
Okay.
It's a universe of
I would be
entropy.
surprised if it was not.
It's a universe that's kind of like the Plane of Shadows in this one, in that one, because it was a parallel universe that everything gets sick and starts dying when they goes into it. So
Oh shit! I have something cool to sub-mention. So this is the business card for my head of Minging Sciences,
cool.
Ah, yes.
and he is going to start designing stuff for end transmission games, and he's starting with Hortipunk.
So like plant.
Yes.
Like gardening
yes,
plant,
like
that's
plant
cool.
computer stuff. Yeah. Yeah. He was gonna call it Plant Punk, and I was like, nah, man, Plant Punk's not gonna take you as far as you want. You
Let's say
argue from the car
we did
for
something like
2
that.
hours.
One of the species in one of the factions, because they're all human, and Necropunk uses tree ships that do that. They're organic.
Oh, I
bioorganic
think his
yeah.
whole thing is just like tree ships and
I
stuff.
fucking that's awesome.
Yeah, it should be really neat. And what I've read, it's cool, and I don't know, it's cool to watch like one of my players, people like start doing stuff. I've been
Love
trying
it.
to get them all into it. Like I got Chris to write shit for Miss Fakuma, and now Dix's gonna start doing stuff. Like
So
Nick's writing pirate books.
I said I do have something to plug. I'll put up on the screen here. The Gathox Vertical Thumbs. If you guys haven't seen that,
Yeah, about vertical thumbs.
Vertical Slum.
Nice.
It's like its own system. It's our old school revival system. It's very gonzo sci-fi, like 80s. Reminds me of like Judge Dredd and stuff. Just look at that cover art. If you guys can see it on the screen right now, it is just insane. It's somehow been on my wish list for a while.
Swords and Wizardry? Is this what this is? I think it says Swords and Wizardry there.
Oh yeah, it is Swords and Wizardry. That's what it is.
Okay.
But
Cool.
yeah, it is Swords and Wizardry. It just looks fucking cool. And I looked at it and I was just like, I want to play this. I don't know what the hell it is. I want to play this though.
Yeah, that is definitely a Scott game, right?
It is
there.
a super Scott game. Plus, they use the term gonzo,
Yeah,
and I was
even
like,
the triangle pyramid thing. Yeah, you
Yep.
got it all.
I was just like, oh, that's so cool. And it's expensive. I'm not sure if I want to spend, what is it, $10 on it? Maybe it's $10. Maybe I'll spend it on it at some point. I just drained my drive-through account into my PayPal to pay for a bunch of artwork, so when it fills back up, I will use some publisher credit or something.
I'm about to get pumped on artwork real hard.
But yeah, that's what I got going on.
Cool.
Anyone else?
Anybody?
I mean, I've got a Kickstarter, but those aren't supposed to go in this segment.
Those
so.
don't go in this segment.
I
I'm
know.
so
that's
mad.
what I'm not
Everybody's like,
talking about.
I'm talking about my Kickstarter. It's like, no. And it's, man.
Hold your
Now we have
horses.
a
We'll
note.
get to it. We have a section to it for that reason. Damn it.
We do. It's like everybody never gets that far when they go through the document. It's like, son of a bitch. Alright. So, Pathfinder, Starfinder, news and speculation. A lot of people have been complaining about their Starfinder book printing's binding.
Yup.
And
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that.
yes, a lot of people are upset. Vic Wertz posted their chief technical officer.
Chief Technology Officer.
Thank you. It's technical officer, not
Technical
technology
officer. There we go.
But yeah, the printer will replace all that. So just contact them, show them that there was a problem, and they will correct it. So like you can get a good Starfinder print, and also probably still keep your shitty Starfinder print to give to your players. So like, do not miss this opportunity. Contact them
To
immediately.
give shitty things to your players.
Well, I mean, it's, I'm not gonna buy
Oh
them.
no, I'm not saying wasted. It's just like, oh man, the shitty here players.
Yeah. Fair enough.
You're not wrong. It's just funny.
Yeah.
So speaking of like bad prints, did you guys ever get the Savage Worlds Explorer editions, like the book that's like this big, or whatever?
No. It was seriously dictionary sized.
Oh no, it was tiny. Is what I'm saying. Like I can't
like the pocket Pathfinder book.
Yeah, kind of. It's like smaller than this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's like smaller than that.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I was surprised because I was in a game store the other day and I finally saw the pocket books and I was like, what? That's
actually
really
a big fucking pocket.
Yeah.
Like I was yeah. I mean, like it's cool. It's smaller now. I used to have one on my bookshelf
now that I think about it, but not right now.
The Savage World one. Well, okay. Notoriously, those books fell apart after like 2 games. I have gone through 3 of them.
Oh, it was probably just like expiring glue or something.
Well, no, it's really small and really like chintzy. It was great. I mean, what were they? They were less than $10, I think, for the whole game. And I was like, all right, I don't care. I'll buy 3. So what we ended up doing at one point was taking it, printing it, and we're taking the pages out as they fell out, and just putting them in binders and just tossing them out. There you go, guys.
Yeah.
My friend did that for one of the 5 ebooks. It was the DMG, I think it was.
The DMG. Yeah, those were all pretty bad too.
Yeah,
and,
so he actually put them in like a binder. He just took the pages out and put them in a binder and split it in half so you could look at the GM stuff or the items.
I don't know who Wizards of the Coast used to print in China, but my money is probably on Regency. Like, I don't know. I have to see. I wonder if I can find that out.
I bet you could. It's probably on the book somewhere.
Because, like, they've been giving the same treatment to people who call in and are like, hey, my player's handbook turned into fucking dust or whatever. And I was surprised by that, because normally WotC's like, oh, yeah, sorry, eat some bag of dicks, because fuck you, I'm WotC. So, yeah, I was surprised.
Honestly, the binding of role-playing books in general, like, annoys me as someone who does bookbinding. Like, the board spines, they look nice, but those books aren't big enough to warrant board spines. The reason why most books don't have board spines is because they don't bend right, and that's why they eventually start to crack down the side, because there's not enough flexibility.
I was gonna say,
like, your book has to be like this thick before you put a board spine on it, damn it.
Next time you're at a con, you should see if End Transmission Games is around and look at their psionics book, because it's fucking threaded. And I like, when I looked in and I saw that, I was like, oh my god, why aren't you telling people who walk into your booth about this? Like, this is amazing.
Right?
Like, you're only charging $40 for this thing? Like, that can't make sense for what you did with this book. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the first things that I looked at when I picked up a Pathfinder core rulebook. I'm like, okay, where's the middle? Where's the middle? Ah, they sewed their signatures in.
And I only do digital stuff, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fair enough. That was my life for 4 years, so I have opinions.
So here's the thing: we've tried doing a few print books, and they never cost justified themselves after a while, and we were just like, so we never really did it.
You gotta stick with it and have like a library, right? Like if it's just 1 or 2 things, you can't expect a lot to come of it. But like once I got Varanthia and a bunch of Varanthia out and a bunch of Mrs. Kuma out, once people see that, like, oh, I can get like 3 or 4 adventures, well, I'm more willing to buy in at this point.
At some point, I might go ahead and
you got to make big fucking products, which takes more time and more money and more effort. And then layout is a bigger deal. All your artwork has to be much higher DPI, which is pain in the fucking ass.
That was one of the things that also, because a lot of the writing, I do all the layout also. So it's like, all right, do I want to write another book or convert this PDF to a book and gamble on the chance that it's going to sell and make a lot more money, even though I'm making less per book?
Yeah, there's like a week of every month where I'm just doing the layout.
Yep.
And that's like, guess what I get to do tomorrow and the day before and the day after, the day after that and the day after that.
Yep. We tend to...
Yeah, no, I don't do the layout thing. Crystal, are you dealing with that with your bestiary?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fun. Because since I was in graphic design before illustration, I mean, I've been dealing with a logo, a website, a page layout. We're also doing a stat book that's included for free, a digital one. And they were like, why aren't you offering a printed stat book? And I was like, because layouts, that's why.
Yo.
Because I don't want to spend 30 hours on that, thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you just
PDF
gotta
gets
love yourself
damaged.
a little.
Yeah,
know, man.
we generally
Yeah,
break up
just-
the layout stuff. It's generally because on Sundays is our work day, and some of our designers are East Coast and I'm not. So before they get on, I just like get up early and I just do layout for like 4 hours, like 4 or 6 hours, and they'll be on. I'll be like, "Hi guys, great no work, good, but yeah, we go over stuff now, And then they're like, "What happened?" I'm like, "You've been doing layout." Fucking Gonzo's
Words don't look like
layout.
words anymore.
Yo.
Oh, okay. So for Gonzo 2, the Kickstarter we did was a 400-page book, and I literally got in that book. I think we have we have several hundred pieces of artwork, because they were. If you guys ever got the book, on the sides of each page are all like popping off the edge of the page. So you could never do that because of the bleeds and everything. But they're coming off at weird angles and up because it's supposed to be like all crowded and weird looking.
Well,
And-
you can do that with the bleeds, but you have to make the image.
Yeah.
It's a fucking huge pain in the ass.
Here, yes, you can do it.
Yeah.
You should. I don't want to do it.
That's why it's easier to do
yeah.
digital than print, because there are so many more restrictions when you're doing print. It's a pain.
One thing I'll note about Starfinder's layout, though, is I've been using the book. It is chugging, man. Like, the layout is like the images are loading weird because they're not like baked in at all. And I get why they're not baking them in, but like, still, it's like sometimes it's like the page will load and then like a beat later the image will load in, and I'm like, oh come on, dude. I guess you have to get like the quick reference one or the one by chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I just have a dev copy with no art, so.
So it works great for you.
Yeah.
So any other Starfinder news? Pathfinder, Starfinder?
I don't have any. I still haven't gotten to read any. I'm going to this week. I felt really bad about it and thought about doing it last night about 6 times.
What's his name? Is it Eric Mona?
James Sutter left Paizo.
Oh, did he?
That's
Yep.
probably newsworthy.
That is a thing.
He's off to do other stuff, although he understand he's still going to be doing freelance stuff for Starfinder, so
Yeah.
That makes
he'll be
sense.
around.
Eric Mona did a kind of quasi-official, hey, what do you guys want to see from Pathfinder going forward? Post on Facebook, and everyone's giving their input. It was interesting to read as a developer, because it kind of gets you to go, what should I be doing? One thing that's gotten repeated over and over and over is they don't want Pathfinder 2, but they want a kind of collected, errataed core rulebook 2, you know what I mean? Like, toss most, like, your best shit in here and make it really clean and nice and simple. And that way...
Make that the new Pathfinder Society type thing.
Yeah, and be like, this has all the classes, this has all the errata implemented, these have all the rule changes that have happened over time, and just make it simple and accessible so I don't have to buy 20 books.
Well, I mean, you don't have to buy any of their fucking books. It's all on their website for free.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Yeah,
I'm saying,
I feel you.
they want that book, though, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Do it officially.
No, that makes sense. And then they can be like, here, this is the summoner now. It's in the Pathfinder, whatever the fuck we're calling this book.
Yeah.
And
Ultimate errata?
Ultimate errata, I like it.
No, Ultimate Pathfinder. Just call it Ultimate
there you go.
Pathfinder and call it a day.
Ultimate core rulebook.
Yeah.
I'm kind of bummed. I never got my Starfinder contributors copy because they sent it to my old address because I just moved.
Oh.
And whoever lives there now, I guess, has a cool copy of Starfinder for free.
Right.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed about that. It's like,
So
dang
did
it,
you-
I have brain monsters in there.
So you did art for that, or did you do the First Contact?
I did some artwork for it, mostly contemplative, so like brain, floating
I know
brain
which one you're talking
pictures.
about. That came out really cool. I liked it. Very
Oh, thanks.
Wiry.
You should see,
Yeah,
because they
that's
probably have some like copies of Starfinder they don't want to keep around because of the binding issues, right?
I know, I'm like, I don't play, I'll take a crappy one, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I just want one.
You just want to see the
Right, if the pages fall out, you can just kind of get them framed and put them on the wall.
Yeah, it's like a print that I could just put on the wall. And like they did send over Beastiary 6, which was cool because that one had I think like 10 or 11 creatures that I did in it,
Oh,
and
really?
they're all in like
That's cool.
one area. So I was like, I had people finding me at Gen Con, having me sign them, and I was just like, whoa, this is cool. People want me to sign stuff.
I like going. One of the weirdest feeling at a convention is, and I'm sure you guys have all had this, when you're talking to someone and like you know them, but you're like 99% sure they have no fucking way to know you, and then they're like, oh yeah, I know what you wrote. You wrote this, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, you did this piece of artwork. What do you know? Who told you? You know, like you feel like an
People
imposter.
just roll up and assume that you understand what they are talking to you about.
Yep.
And it's like, were you coming for directions? Like, oh, this is the conversation. Oh, awesome, great! I'm so happy. Tell me about it. You know.
I had a.
What always makes me so happy is when people come up and they're like, "Oh, that dragon, this blue one behind my shoulder, actually, that I did for a book cover." They're like, "Oh, that's a D&D cover, right?" And I'm just like, "Hey, I haven't worked for them yet, but I'll let them know."
I had an email recently that made me smile. I was doing some contract stuff, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I've worked on this and that and the other thing," and it was on some of the Gonzo stuff, and they're like, I'm like, "Yeah, I did this in Gonzo," and they're like, I loved Gonzo. Oh my god. It was when I figured you wrote a paragraph on how much he freaking loved it, and I was like,
"Aw."
I'm like, I didn't know anyone actually read that book except for my Kickstarter backers. And even then I don't know.
That's awesome.
But like it made me so happy.
It makes it all worth it, you know,
Oh, yeah.
not to get all sappy or whatever,
No,
but like
it does.
that's how I feel with my book that just is not on Kickstarter anymore, but was. And some of the comments I was getting, just people like, "Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Like, I'm gonna have my daughter grow up like being read the stories to your creatures," and I'm just like, "What?" And some of my art idols backed it, and it's just whoa, it's cool. Makes it all worth it, you know. All the hard
Yeah, I
work.
saw your post about the girl who used your photos as part of their like "who I'm inspired by" collage.
Oh my god, I was like, I was crying, man, real tears. Real tears. That was so cute. And she's like a, AP art high school student. I get a few of them that are like elementary school kids, but I was so flattered. I was like, wow, this is legit. AP art in high school was the heavy hitters, That's cool.
You know where they're going in a few years.
I know, right? I'm like, you need any help? Let me know. I'll get you there.
So, Mike, our next section, I think, if we're good with that, is on some, yes.
D&D 5e news and speculation.
So, Mike, I did read the Unearthed Arcana as well, like you did. There's a new Unearthed Arcana. If you guys don't know what that is the playtest material.
Monthly.
Yeah.
Playtest.
Kind of monthly. I don't remember anything last month.
It was something of no interest to us, or it might have happened while we were at Gen Con. I can't remember.
No, okay, I checked it. I don't remember.
The mostly monthly.
I think it's monthly. We probably just didn't care about it. It was probably like
it used to be bi-monthly or weekly, and then they changed it to monthly as of a couple months ago.
But anyway, so we want to talk about it?
Sure. There are the Eladrin, which I don't care about.
I actually actively dislike them from 4E, so that's okay.
I have a better name for Feywild elves in Varanthia. They're called Faelves. I don't know why I'm the only person who ever thought of that. I mean, like, it's so obvious, and they're like these little, like, small-sized, constantly dreaming, never really asleep people. Like, they're great. But yeah, I mean, like, the Eladrin, okay, it's poorly named.
I kind of like their mechanic of I can teleport everywhere, which is okay.
It's just like once a day. I'm not crazy about that.
I'm saying in 4E they had some more shit with that, which is okay, but it's not enough to really be like, these are distinct and need a new entry and everything. Like,
mechanically, as a subrace, what they get is a +1 int, +1 charisma, and then a feat that you would take to get a cantrip and once per day use of a first level spell.
Yeah.
Specifically being Misty Step. Although Misty Step is better because I think you can use it as a reaction instead of no, it's still bonus action. Never mind, it's the same thing. Yeah. I'm more excited about the Gith, specifically the Githzerai. So for people who are not D&D born, Gith are these like crazy extraplanar psionic despots. I guess is the best way to talk it.
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, really, actually.
There's definitely this Eastern feel to them, they're weird. They're very D&D. They're very iconic to D&D.
Actually, they are product identity, so you can't touch them.
It's true. They are product identity. Githyanki are the more militant, classically martial ones, and then Githzerai are all about like onefulness, although they're still not good. But yeah, they're the monkish ones. The builds are okay. The way they did their psychic abilities is sensible. They get innate spellcasting, which I was surprised about because because most of the time you can't get innate spell casting as a character. That's like the new spell like ability for 5e. They don't need components, so they can cast these spells with just like thought. So that was interesting and cool to see. It makes me excited to play them, but will definitely be problematic for you at your table if you have a clever player around.
So one thing that people don't know, I mean, I'm sure people know, but like not everyone, is you guys ever heard of the term gish? You're talking about like a magic swordsman or whatever.
Yeah.
The term gish actually refers to them, because they actually had an early version of them had the
silver swords.
Yeah, they had the spell sword ones.
The silver swords are different. They're like these,
but the term in their language, gish, means skill. And their title word, they were called gish, and they were able to be good swordsmen and good magic users. I forget what edition it was. It wasn't like Redbox, but it was like early on. So everyone was like, "Wait, you can be a wizard and a swordsman? What is going on?" I just hit my head. But yeah, my pain amuses you. I see. But yeah, that actually. But that's actually where the term comes from, gish, which is kind of cool. I didn't know that for a while. I was like, wait, those two things are the same?
See, Mike, when you brought up Silver Sword, what made me think of was Silver Heart, which is my favorite ridiculous prestige class.
I don't remember the Silver Heart. Is that a Harper agent thing, or?
No, it was, oh gosh, it was in a, like, Paths of Prestige-esque thing for 3.0 or 3.5, and you were Paladin-esque, but you rode a unicorn.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you had to be a female human, elf, or half-elf, virgin lady person,
wow.
And it had all these, like, ridiculous, like, virginity-related restrictions. Like, if you lost your virginity, whatever the hell that means, then your unicorn's just like, no, bye.
So
left in the bathroom at the tavern, forgot about it.
Yeah.
So
I forgot to feed my virginity and it died.
So we actually wrote
Very sad.
So I know which one you're talking about, because we actually wrote a kind of conversion for Pathfinder called the Champion. I forget, so the champion of something, but it was an archetype for paladins. It got a unicorn, and we were looking over those restrictions. We're like, that's really problematic. How do we deal with this? So what we did was we actually said, hey, look, the lore says we put that requirement: female or identifying as female or feminine or whatever you want to call it. And we went into a sidebar and said, look, this is really problematic. This is immensely connected to their lore, but we don't think you should follow it. You don't have to, and we even said, look, if you want to do a male one, you can go a Challenger and you get the fucking Pegasus, or just take the Unicorn. We don't care. And we spelled this out on a sidebar, and you know what type of shit we got?
Ugh.
We had shitstorm on the product page for it. A lot of it got removed, but it wasn't like one way, because we didn't firmly plant ourselves on one side or the other. Both sides like erupted. They're like, this should be lore. It is God. And like, it has to be a virgin woman. And we're like, nope, we ain't saying that. And the other ones were like, well, you should be all inclusive. Like, we're trying to be, but we want to show you, this is what the lore says, but here's what you can do. We don't care. And then they're like, not enough. I'm like, okay. So both sides like erupted in hate for us. And we're like, all right, great, fuck. So.
See, what I thought was the best part, and no doubt what you should totally, add on to your champion, is that it mentioned that aquatic elves bonded with narwhals.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
And it's like they have horn, like they have the spiral horn-esque thing. They're not sea unicorns. They're not.
So I just remembered, like, my first read through the old D&D book was like, there was some mention that like paladins in an aquatic setting can use sharks, and I just immediately was like, I want to be a fucking paladin and a goddamn shark. Like, just like, I don't care where, I just want to be like, bring the kiddie pool. We are riding to war.
Cast fly and like some sort of adaptation spell on your shark, and
just fly away on your
like
shark.
A shark breeze instead of a sharknado. You can be a shark breeze.
There was also the thing, I think it was 3.0 or 3.5, where everyone could select camels. Now, we found out that camels were statistically way better than horses.
And they could spit.
The spit thing is what I'm talking about. The spit thing had the ability to, like, was it shaken or sicken them if it hit and they failed something?
Yeah.
It was just
I think
like,
it did, like, some non-lethal damage,
yeah,
too.
it was just like, oh, guess what? At later levels, my horse isn't going to do as much damage as me, but it will still stun their dumbass and just, like, beat them with the ugly
small
stick.
herd of camel that spit in unison every round.
Yeah. It was just absurd. Oh my god.
Well, I maintain halflings are the master race because it's slightly better in 5e, but in earlier editions they were like all rolling around with, like, +3 to hit and like +5 to hide.
Oh, the small thing, yeah.
They're just fucking ninjas, and they really should have just overrun everybody else. Like, even with just rocks, like, no contest. But
anyway,
I digress.
So yeah, we have digressed quite a bit here. That's okay.
Any other D&D 5e news or speculation?
Nothing. I'll be playing again in my 5e game this weekend, I think.
Cool. I have a game on Sunday. Players don't know it, but Frank Mincer might show up to experience what it's like to be a player on Roll20.
Oh,
That would be very interesting to watch. Yes.
Spoiler, guys.
Also, we'll have Frank on in 2 weeks.
Oh, that'll be cool. A legend of the industry. Yeah, I think we can have that.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping he doesn't complain about the format. I don't know. We'll find out.
He's on the schedule.
So, other RPG business?
Yeah. Other RPG business.
So, Mike, this is an interesting thing because you know I like my copyright law. So go ahead and dive into this because there's something else I want to touch on at the end here, which is kind of weird, but...
There's a trial going on over Buck Rogers' rights.
Context, this has also been going on for like a million years.
Yes, it has been going on for quite a while. Like 12 years or something?
Something like that, yeah. In various iterations.
Yeah. So this is interesting to us specifically because the last thing that used the rights of Buck Rogers was the Buck Rogers 25,000 role-playing game.
Which was published by?
Mike Pondsmith, or designed by Mike Pondsmith, but it was published by TSR,
Yeah,
and the lady who had TSR before it was sold over to Wizards of the Coast, who is, I believe, passed away, was the last person to hold the rights. So.
Yep. And that was a temporary grant to them. But the thing is, though, yeah. So basically, if you guys want the really short breakdown, there are two families who are descendants of the author and the publisher, who at one point, the author gave the rights to the publisher, and then they were like suing him for it because there was unpaid royalties, and they just paid up the publisher family, and now both kind of the writer's family is kind of contesting that the publisher family doesn't actually have the rights because it may have lapsed, it may not be a valid thing, and so basically you can't use Buck Rogers because they're fighting over it. So, good job.
Woo!
And there might be a potential television deal with NBC Universal for a revival TV show.
So there is an interesting thing, though. At the bottom of the article, it talks about. I'm going to pull up the thing. I think I pulled it up. I had it from before. There's a. See, I'll pull up my phone here. They talk about how recognizable. There's a thing that said like how recognizable Buck Rogers is. And it was like 68%. I have the stats up here somewhere. Where is it?
Super recognizable. I mean, like him, not so much. The actual name, yes.
Yeah. So, where the fuck is it? Anyway, it was something like 68% remember or know who Buck Rogers is. Like 80-something% know who Luke Skywalker is. Like 90-something% knew who Captain America was, and 20-something% of people claim to be familiar with the fictional character Frederick Johnson. Which is kind of funny, because there's a saying that like you can get 20% of people will say yes to anything. So statistically it's kind of an invalid thing. So what I want to say is, all right, guys, I'm writing my fucking 700-page like sci-fi space opera centered around Frederick Johnson, and I'm like, NBC guys, I got something for you. Come on, you want the pitch? Frederick Johnson, already known by 20% of Americans, despite not existing. You can bump those numbers up. He's already a household name.
Let's see. I don't know. I'd probably watch some Buck Rogers television
Yeah,
now.
that'd be fun. You know I like my pulpy sci-fi, so.
Yeah.
So the other thing was Changeling the Dream has its 20th edition version out. Looks pretty cool. I don't know.
Tell me about Changeling the Dreaming.
Let's say I'm not. We've already gone over how not a White Wolf.
Oh, you already were
player.
talking about it. Like somebody was already on it. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's out in a 20th edition version. It's really cool. People have been posting good things about it. I am not a White Wolf guy. I mean, it's World of Darkness, whatever it is. I don't play that system very much, so it is not a big deal to me. But it's kind of cool that it's out. I mean, it's 20 freaking years too. I didn't realize it's been out that long.
It's a long time.
Yeah. So you want to move on to the other media of interest?
Other media of interest. I have notes here, but do you guys see that they're not allowing any reviews of the new Star Trek before it comes out?
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
That feels sketchy.
That's a bad
dude.
sign.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, fuck. Because normally you want to pimp that out and get as much hype as possible, so, like...
So, full disclosure, I'm an admin on one of the oldest Star Trek role-playing sites, Shadow Fleet. It's been on for about 11 years, I think now. It's been continuously active. And one
I'm
of
going to be the new deep throat of Star Trek forums.
Yep. Our main ship is called the Discovery, and we're like, oh god, no, please don't. So, also, come on, guys. The initials for Star Trek Discovery are just too bad. It's STD.
Yo. Yo.
Like, we have ENT, TNG, DS9, and STD.
STD.
Like, someone didn't think of this beforehand. Come on.
It reminds me of, I forget what they do, the extremist organization with the initials MILF. They're like Somalian pirate-esque, but their initials are MILF.
Guys, I got robbed by a MILF today. Really? Our ship's been taken over. What'd they steal? A bunch of tampons. Who stole it? A MILF!
It's just so silly.
What else? American Hero, which was this like obscure 70s television series about some like generic hero, is coming back, but they are doing a Native American woman.
That's cool.
As the star, and I was like, oh, what?
That
What?
makes oodles more sense. I'm suspicious.
I was like, oh my god. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Like, I don't give a shit about the old one, but yeah, I don't know. I thought that was
There we go.
The new Hellboy is his picture is released, and as much as I love Ron Perlman, this guy looks good. I mean, I don't know anything else about him. Apparently, Guillermo del Toro is not attached anymore. He said, I tried getting the next one to be made for a long time. It didn't really work out, so best of luck, but I'm not involved.
Yeah.
Which makes me sad, but I kind of want to see it. I like Hellboy. I think there's more to kind of mine there.
Did you see the animated stuff? There's a lot of animated Hellboy
it's
stuff.
good. Was
Pretty
it
good.
Sword of Destiny or something?
There's like four of them.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. They were pretty good. I like the art style.
All right, and then we have
I'm really excited to.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I have a lag on my end. My internet is just total shit. But I'm really excited for Shape of the Water, which is Del Toro's new movie that he's got coming out. Some cool sea monster.
It's like a horror drama movie, right?
Yeah, so many people have been tagging me because I've got this like sea creature anglerfish guy who looks kind of like that, and they're like, "Did you work on the movie?" And I'm tempted to just be like, "Yeah, I totally did." Yeah, that was me. My NDA's up. There you go.
All me.
I like it.
So, do you want to go into Kickstarters now?
Well, there's this thing. So, the G.I. Joe comic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's this dude who's the main writer for it, I guess, named Aubrey Stitterson. And, he's been very, like, belligerently progressive, I guess is a good way to put it.
Can you
and it's not going over well. And I guess I don't know. I read this article about what's going down. IDW Publishing has tried to distance themselves from him, and the comic is tanking. And he used to do stuff with the like WWE or WWF or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the general sense I got from somebody who was clearly way more into it than I was that they think he's just trying to like stir up controversy to sell more comic books,
Like
and it's
they do all the time.
backfiring. Yeah.
So what do you mean by like aggressively progressive or whatever your phrase was?
Belligerently progressive.
Yeah.
So like while talking about 9/11, he said something shitty about like white dudes trying to protect people and not minding their own fucking business, and then was like, and I was living in Manhattan when that happened, and if you don't like it, you can fuck yourself or something like that.
See, that doesn't strike me as progressive at all.
I'm not saying,
it's not progressive if you like randomly shit on white dudes. Like, there's gotta be something besides being a troll behind it.
Yeah. That sounds like one of those controversy things. Like when they kill off a character.
The new Captain America has set a bad comics precedent.
Oh my! Well, no, dude. This has been okay. So it's called the rubber band effect. You change something in comics for the sake of shock, and then it rubber bands back to what it was a year later or whatever it is. So every time they kill off a character, it's a perfect example. Like Dick Grayson, though it was a great comic run, being Batman, I'm like, oh, that'll be great for a year until they get. We'll give it to Grant Morrison. Great, I'm so excited. And then it's just gonna rubber band back, won't it? Oh, it did. Good. There we go. And we're good. So yeah, we're
just
like
bear with it.
Like Captain America turning into like a Nazi. I just kind of sat there and was like, this isn't a thing, but it's
that
dumb.
was particularly blasphemous.
Yeah, it was in really bad taste, and it was just like, all right, it will be done in a month or a year or whatever the fuck it is. No shit, but it's still in really bad taste. And they're like, no, it's the real new normal. And then it comes back and they change it. And they're like, just kidding. And he punches him anyway. I'm like, congratulations, good job. You want a fucking medal for being insulting to everybody? Go fuck yourself. Bag of dicks.
Alright, so, on that note, Kickstarters! Yay!
The bag of dick note. I love it. So, what do we got here?
Games is doing the Alien Beastiary for 5e and Starfinder. They have 16 days to go. They have garnered $20,000, almost $21,000.
You're asking. That's twice what they're asking.
No, they'll probably break 35, maybe. I'm sure it'll be awesome, just like everything else they do. And check it out. And if you signed up for a certain I think if you signed up for any pledge level, that you got like their Forest Compendium PDF. So that was neat too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like it's already in my thing. And, should be.
Some of my art is in that.
So what have you done?
That's cool. I had no idea.
Which one?
There we go. You're just in all the best sci-fi products these days.
I guess so. Actually, it's my Aethera art that's in there, so that's cool.
I was about to say that, this has all the stuff from Aethera will be in these. So
nice. Yeah, I was gonna say on the little Alien Beastiary logo, I'm like, that's my what the heck were they called? My Azaka Thought Seeker guy. That's,
yes.
I love how
not
they
expecting
have
that. I was like, oh, who worked on that? That's cool.
a little peeved because they used it. Like, we all had a fucking vote, and we agreed to use the same logo for 5th edition stuff because WotC wasn't going to give us one. And everybody just like, stick to the goddamn plan we all agreed to.
So one of my favorite things about this project is that it has a fidget spinner. As a light up fidget spinner
with legendary games on it.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah.
It's a light up fidget spinner.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's really fancy.
As someone who is like constantly playing with things, you guys can't ever see it on the screen, but like always fidgeting with things, I'm like, I don't get why you need a fidget spinner, dude. You do not need a fidget spinner. If I don't need a fidget spinner, you don't need a fidget spinner.
See, I feel like the fidget cube is much less annoying, much more spatially economic.
Yeah, like
I've got one of those.
I like mine a lot.
I have a bunch of shit over here I like play with all the time. I always have like my what do you call them, like this clippy thing. I have a shit ton of things over there I just use to fidget all the time with. And people who, I mean, it's a cool thing. It's this generation's what, like Pogs or like fucking whatever, Tamagotchi. Like every generation has a stupid thing that they play with, and it's like, ooh, why are you guys buying $500 Beyblades? You know, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon. Like, whatever, dude. I don't fucking care. Dude, play with whatever the fuck you want. but don't try to claim it's a medical device or some shit like that. Like,
I bought Pokemon cards so I could dominate the people around me, and I succeeded wildly.
well, I have a YouTube video for you later.
Good job.
It is a anime adaptation, a real life like parody, I guess, of fidget spinner battles. It's pretty cool, dude.
Oh my god.
So you can dominate people that way. There you go. Or
No, it served its purpose.
So what other Kickstarters we got?
There are other Kickstarters. Somebody put something with the unicorns. What's it about?
Yeah, Unstable Unicorns. It is, let's see if I remember right. It's a card game, and you
Oh, Jesus.
you end up. They were at Gen Con actually, and their Kickstarter has like gone off on fire. But you start out with baby unicorns, and then you basically try and kill each other off with various other unicorns. And there's you can block people's attacks with a nay card. I'll be honest, that's what sold me. The pun was fantastic.
I like the chainsaw unicorn. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is pretty nice.
That's pretty cool.
There's also the super nay.
Man, this is
Oh,
way
yeah,
cooler. I'd
You
like
also
to
see,
planner
like-
Kickstarter.
You also see a horse turn into a skeleton brutally, which is kind of gross.
This is the last 22 hours left, so if you're trying to get on board, now is the time. If you're watching this on YouTube,
don't mind
sorry,
if I do.
but I guarantee you they'll have backer kit or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, the
It's
plushies are
interesting. I
freaking
didn't see the
horrible, though.
expansion packs. They have a not safe for work expansion pack. I'm
God.
not sure what that entails.
We were talking about
Oh my
narwhals.
God,
They have
I
a
need it.
narwhal stretch goal. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Clearly,
They still have
unicorns-
stretch goals?
Oh my god, dude. No, the not safe for work expansion, we have a unicorn with some like bondage straps on and a pierced condom in wrapper. Looking suggestively at us. And I'm just leaving it on
I
the
see.
screen. It is just like that is something to keep on there. Yep. More not safe for work. And then we have I think that is I don't know. It's holding a rose in its mouth and it's seducing me.
Metallic gold ink KSE card. I have no idea what a KSE card, but that's neat.
They have a not safe for work thing, which has it has a narwhal with a black bar over it laying across laying on the side suggestively.
There we go.
There's a dragon
I like-
expansion pack. Oh my god.
I was just about to say I like the dragon one a lot. It's got Dragon Buddy.
We think
Expansion.
Indeed. The legendary flying unicorn
Oh,
is
Jesus.
apparently riding a dragon.
They also have one
my God.
who has like a mark under its horn that looked like balls. And it's called it's another not safe for work one. It's right above the dragon flying one.
There we go.
That's pretty horrifying. I love it. So yeah, if you want to have things involving unicorns and potentially genitalia or dragons or both, I mean, sounds like a good thing to partake in.
There we go.
Unicorn dongs. Anyway, so any other Kickstarters that
On
do not
that
involve unicorn dongs or any other sort of dongs? We're done with dongs. Mike, do we have anything else for that?
I don't have any other Kickstarter.
Okay, good. Which means, Crystal, as long as it doesn't involve further animal abuse or unicorn genitalia in any way, please take it away. Tell us something more interesting.
Well,
This is
more
your
interesting
segment
than
here.
unicorn dongs. I don't know. Is there such a thing? I mean,
It's a high bar.
I've heard tell of such legendary topics of conversation.
there's Well, I mean, on a similar vein, but less inappropriate. I'm doing a miniature donkey Pegasus for my book. That counts,
okay.
right? Like with the stubby little tiny legs and these huge wings.
Sure.
Because derp, gotta have some derp. They can't all be
course,
like scary
yeah.
monsters.
That's what I make like 80% of my
Yeah.
money is on derp.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited.
Not-
It's
not
cool
that
hearing about all the new RPG stuff coming on and just remembering. I mean, I've been doing nonstop like client work for Pathfinder and Open Legend and all these tabletop games for like 5 years, and it's like coming off of that and doing my own is it's kind of fun. I get to like play with the story, and I don't get a set description now. I get to make my own, and it can be as weird as I want it to.
I hear you there.
It's pretty fun.
I think that's how we started as a company.
Yeah. Pathfinder sure did send me some weird ones though, so that's for sure.
That's good.
Yeah, they don't like
the contemplative
odd requests.
Yeah, dude, I love going to artists and going, hey, I have this really weird thing. Get down, and they kind of sit there and go, what?
Yeah.
I'll pay you. All right, we've established this, but what?
Yeah.
We had one. This guy asked me for a art. He's like, look, he kind of annoys me. Mike, you might know who he is, but he kind of like keeps asking me for work, and I'm like, look, I don't like your art. You're not really that good. I mean, I don't come out and say that, but I'm like,
I told him to do some spaceships, and I think that worked out well for him.
Are we talking about the same person?
Probably.
We'll talk afterwards.
If he just did a bunch of spaceships that he released as stock art, then yes.
But anyway, so he's like, give me anything, as complex and weird as you want, I'll do it. If you like it, you pay me. Like, all right. So we were working on this thing that never came out for Necropunk called the Heart Seeker or something. Star Samurai. They have Heart Sabers though. Heart Sabers are, you take your own heart out and crystallize it in crystal, and has like a lightsaber blade that kind of like comes out. It kind of ends up working like a Solarian actually. And I told the guy to do this and have it leave a hole in the chest, and he's like, he draws like 10, he shows me the legs, and he's like, I'm done, I can't do this, bye. I'm like, and they went, hey buddy, you want to do this? And the other artist went, and he gave me good artwork for it, so,
Crystallized heart lightsaber.
yeah, and you can mentally control it, and it does cool things. I don't know, it was awesome.
I could see that.
Okay, no, it sounds awesome. It's just one of those, like, science with a capital S and an exclamation point.
Yeah. The cool thing is, normally it has to be from the chest of an innocent. And the innocent is still alive because the blood still pumps dimensionally. It's weird. But
okay, so it's someone else's heart, not yours?
The Star Samurai uses their own heart because they have to be innocent. Or at least just, or something like that. So normally it's somebody else's heart. But this one was his own. So we had a hole in his chest. They can put it back in there and star beam him. I don't know.
Oh, man.
So if you're innocent, your remote innocent whose heart you have, if they die...
Your expensive magic item goes away.
Ah, well, man. So are there just really innocent people kept in, like, oubliettes somewhere? Like space oubliettes?
I mean, I imagine so. They're not super common. They're like episode 3 lightsabers are not really common. Like, so yeah.
Okay, so there are like 10 people in the galaxy in space oubliettes being kept alive, potentially via tubes. So that someone can use their heart as a lightsaber.
Dude, that's not even 20%. That's not even like in the top 10 weirdest thing in Necropunk. So yeah, that is definitely that.
I like it. I like it a lot.
That's awesome. The joke I make all the time, because like I do these conventions and I have this big Pathfinder banner behind me. People are like, oh, which Pathfinder creatures did you do? Or, you know, characters, because they think most of us just get to paint the sexy ladies and the fighters and stuff. And I pull out my book and I'm just like, well, I did all the strange Aeons, eldritch horror monsters. And they're just like, what the fuck? Like, what am I looking
so
at?
Good. Did you do the Wendigo?
I didn't do the Wendigo, but I got to do the entire Beastiary for, oh geez, which adventure path was it? I think the Thrushmore Terror, which I thought was kind of funny because it was like a set of 10 or 11, and I flipped to the back and I'm like, oh look, it's my art, and then I get to the back, I'm like, oh, it's just my art. That's cool.
Is that Monica Marlowe's one? Is that her adventure path?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I think she was one of the people on that one.
No? Okay.
Oh.
Jim Groves, I think, was the first. No, was he? I can't remember who. No, Wes wrote the first one.
So,
what was fun about that is I got first for Mordigian, the Great Old One, and then also do the Beastiary opener full illustration of him, like, tearing down on an alchemist and a fighter. And in the description, my art director's like, we specifically want the fighter, the one running away like a scared little girl. So that's like one of my top selling prints at these shows I do, because it's got the fighter just booking it, like dropping his torch, you know, hands outstretched in front of him. That's so funny.
I knew I shouldn't have been a 2-weapon fighter.
Yeah.
Do you ever get any impossible requests? Because I got one last weekend and I had to talk somebody out of it and like give them a better idea and be like, go get this person to do it because I can't. But if you do it this way and you ask them, they can do it.
Ask them very nicely and pay them a lot of money.
I've got some really weird ones, and I'm actually kind of proud that I feel like I've tackled all the really weird ones. Like one of them for Pathfinder, which I'm not sure if it's released. They never really tell us. We have to go find it in the wild. It was for Free RPG Day this year. I think that already passed, right? They like released something for Free RPG Day.
Yeah. The First Contact.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so it was like all plant stuff and Castrovel, right?
No, it's just like a quick rundown of like, here's a couple monsters and what we're doing with Starfinder. It was weird.
Oh, weird. Maybe
that's where Contemplative was.
Was there a free RPG
I'm just like, wait, are they gonna hunt me down or not if I talk about this? But
No.
Probably not. It's just one creature. But so I had to do what's called the Castrovel plant monster, and the description I got for this, like I was just laughing, and then I was like, send an email to my art director back, and I was like, I think you made a typo. And she's like, no, that's really what this thing looks like, and it's a plant, but it has the body of a quadruped, like a cat, the tail of a Venus flytrap, a hammerhead shark eye set, an armored plated back, and a nautilus face. So I was just like, no, this is so bad. I can't do this. And I told my husband, I was like, I just need to quit. I can't do this. This is not gonna work. And he's like, no, just play with it. Maybe you can, figure it out. And it's actually one of my favorite creatures I've done for him now because it's so fucking weird. Like you look at that and you're just like, who drew that? What's in their mind to like bring this out? And that was definitely the creature where I was like, nope, I can't do this. But it ended up being something I actually kind of like. So I hope I get to share that one soon because it was pretty weird. I'd say actually the last like 20 or so creatures I've done for them have all just been like, what the fuck creatures, to put it bluntly.
Yeah, Adam was
for like Beastiary 6.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can tell that Adam has started to like really be reaching for some monsters. It's getting really weird because like
I love it.
They're out of real world analogs. I think I don't know if they've got any myths left. I think they're all gone.
Oh man, have you guys heard? There was a game I worked on. It's like one of my first professional jobs a few years back called Shattered RPG.
No.
That sounds familiar.
It was on Kickstarter, and it was basically steampunk horror, post-apocalyptic, and same thing with them. This one I made was called the Spine Wretch, and it was oh my god, basically a giant worm that has its whole cavity as an open mouth that the rib cage turns into teeth, and it digests its victims alive. So I had to put like little victims in there, and it's like one of my most popular concepts I've done. But yeah, just so weird. Like here, I'll pull it up. I'll paste it in the Twitch link or something because you guys have to see how weird this thing is.
I cannot.
So there's no too weird for me.
I don't think I can see it because I'm
right, I'll paste
everything.
Well, what I got was he wanted me to make a quarter-page sized map with 16 rooms, one of which had a spaceship in it.
Oh my
and I was
God.
like, dude, no one's gonna be able to tell that's a spaceship.
Yeah.
There's no way you can fit that many rooms into a quarter of a page.
Yeah, why is there this tiny, like, torpedo in this room? No, that's...
So, what I figured out was, like, well, if you cut it down to 8 and you like, catty corner them, you could have somebody draw it from the side, right? But I don't do illustration. So I was like, go call Indy or something and, like, have her do it. That looks awesome.
See if I can
thanks.
Let me see if I can pull it up
it's funny because the company is actually called Indie, which stands for It's Never Dark Enough. So,
I was talking about Indy Martin, who is one of my favorite artists.
I was like, wait a minute, that's not the same people, is it? Holy cow.
No.
The universe.
Indy's the one lady in Maryland.
It is not
definitely not them then.
Oh, that's awesome. Our viewers are now finally seeing.
But it was so much fun because they were like, well, we want to see little faces inside of the opening, the mouth that's splitting open. But then I came up with this idea that like they wanted it as like a shapeless worm, and I was thinking, let's give it like a hooded face, like a Dementor kind of hood look to the head, even though it's just a big mouth.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's dope.
So
that's terrifying.
I stand by what I say when I say there is no weird.
I was thinking like Dune-sized worm, and I was like, son of a bitch, that must have been impossible. But I could see this. Like, this is like
our viewers
like
just saw it, by the way.
16 feet maybe or something.
Yeah, something like that. Because you got like little skulls and screaming faces in there and stuff, and yeah, he'll be in the book as well too. So
you were talking like figures. I was like pinky size, like
Oh man, no, that would be fun though. Make a giant one. But yeah, there's no too weird for me. That's that's for sure. I've gotten some really strange projects, but it's like, I don't know. It's like if you're doing weightlifting or any other challenge, and you're like, cool, that's the next step up. Let's do it.
Oh,
Well,
can
and
I
I'm
find
sure
it?
it's sort of a cycle because it's like, oh man, this person does weird monsters, and we need this weird monster made.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
had
Yeah, I got kind of cornered in the weird monster market for a while before I finally got to do dragons and be like, guys, I like those too.
We had a guy who worked for us for a while, Andrew Bortniak, named Viking. I think his mother would call him Viking. Big beard. So he's awesome. Anyway, Viking is awesome,
That's
and
cool.
the thing is though, he was really, really, really good at monsters, and like he was good at people, but like I felt like I wasted him every time I put him on a character artwork thing. So at one point we were just like, Viking, draw like 10 fucking monsters, we'll pay you for them, and we're just gonna stat them up. It was a good book.
That's
Fucking awesome artwork too.
Yeah, I think when you get the artists doing what they love doing, oh
Yeah.
man, you're gonna get really good stuff.
I always try to give a couple things to the artist whenever I make big orders. I'm like, and this one is just whatever you want to do.
Oh,
Whatever strikes you,
those
yeah.
are my favorite kind of clients. Those are the best.
Trying to find it, but I have the picture of the first art order I made for a book cover, and like the artist was just like, Mike, there's no way on earth.
You told us about that before.
Yeah, it's just like I had like 5 different armies on it. Some of them were in the air in planes, and others were in like samurai ships, and also you could see people like fighting up close. And yeah, what he turned in was perfect and great, but like what I asked for was not something a human being could do.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah. I'm
That's
not
when you
gonna
know you
find
have a
out.
good artist. When they make it work,
Yes.
you know you've chosen well.
Jacob Blackman ended up doing it. He's got a really good handle on like composition and perspective and stuff. He's still got to get rid of his lines, but I don't know. He doesn't want to. He has this really distinctive style that works. So
That's cool.
So,
That's always hard for me too.
So it looks like we're going to start winding down.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I may or may not be able to do Munchausen tonight. I want to speak with my wife before I commit to that. But anyway, Crystal, thanks for joining us. We had a great time here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having me,
And thanks
guys.
for having
It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having your gorgeous
for
art behind you the entire time.
Oh, thank you.
So anyway, guys, until next time, have a nice night.